everyone. Welcome back to Wait, It Gets Better. This is episode 22. This is like take five. I just did a whole, I was almost finished. And then I realized I was like rereading my notes repetitively. And I'm like, wait, what is happening? So now I have to start all the way over. So let's dive into it. I'm talking about trauma triggers today. So, what is a trauma trigger? A trauma trigger is something that reminds a person of a past traumatic event, causing them to experience a strong emotional or physical reaction, sometimes feeling like they are reliving the trauma. These triggers can be anything from specific sounds, smells, or places, even thoughts or emotions. Now, here's a more detailed explanation of what it is. A reminder of the trauma. Trauma triggers are reminders of past traumatic event which can be specific situation, memory, object, location, or person, 100%. I just remember, you know, going back to the site of the traumatic event that that deli that I worked at. I remember I was going to pick up my actual like final check of the one day that I worked when that whole thing happened. And I just remember like on my way there, I was crying. I was like, crying, 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 and I had my sunglasses on because I was having anxiety about going back. I'm like, I have to face the people that hurt me and the way they treated me. I have to go back to the place where the trauma happened. Like, it was just, I did go back after that situation, but I think I was still in like a place of like shock of whatever happened that I wasn't all there. But I went back like weeks later to pick up my last check, and I just remember I think I had more of like you know, I don't know, I was in a different mental place, still in recovery, but in a different mental place, and I just remember having anxiety going back. So 100% a location can do it for you, an object, a person. Strong emotional or physical reaction. When triggered, individuals may experience a range of reactions, including intense anxiety, fear, sadness, anger, or physical sensations like sweating, racing heart, or muscle tension. Reliving the trauma. Um, Triggers can cause an individual to feel as though they're experiencing the traumatic event again, often with vivid memories and intense emotions. Also, examples of trauma triggers are sensory triggers, smells like smoke after a fire, sounds like gunshots or sirens, sights like a car similar to the one involved in an accident, or textures like clothing worn during the event. Situational triggers, places, I just talked about that. Anniversary of the event, 100%, that is very true. Or even a certain time of the day can be a trigger. Emotional triggers, feeling overwhelmed, vulnerable, or out of control can cause or can also trigger traumatic memories, relational triggers, seeing a person who reminds you of someone involved in the trauma, or even having a conversation that mirrors the previous traumatic experience. That can be a trigger as well. Internal triggers, thoughts and emotions associated with the trauma, can also be the triggers 100%. And why is this important? Understanding and coping with it, recognizing and understanding trauma triggers is the first step in developing coping strategies and managing the impact of trauma. Seeking help. Triggers can be a sign that an individual needs to seek professional help, such as therapy, so you can just process and heal with the trauma. And trauma informed care. Understanding triggers is crucial for developing trauma informed care, which focuses on creating a safe and supportive environment for individuals with trauma. Trauma triggers are a way for the body and mind to react to reminders of a past traumatic experience. It causes, a strong emotional or physical response. It can feel like you're reliving it. Now, for me personally, living with PTSD, it's been a journey. I can proudly say I'm in a better place 2 years later. At my niece's cheer expo today, I wasn't as vigilant as I was the last time. I think I was in a place where like I was looking behind my shoulder, not because like the person around me was a threat, but because when you have PTSD, your mind is just in the place that you were traumatized in. So you're always going to have that thought of like, who's behind me? What's going on? Who is this person? Who sent them? Like, why are they near me? It's just always going to be like that for me. And I think that's a good sign. It means I came a long way. And my experience with triggers can be something as menial as eye contact. Now, during the incident, which I will only bring up for relevance to a topic, but during the incident, I just remember the anger in the kid's eyes after he passed by me when he was leaving after getting fired. And within the first few days, of course, my dad thought it was like so funny to just give me an evil look and like looking me in the eyes and stare at me. He thought it was funny because obviously he knew the story, but I was like, that's not funny. It bothered me. It was triggering me. I was like, stop doing that. Like, obviously, I don't think they grasped like the severity of like my mental well being at the time. So I asked them to stop. I'm like, it's bothering me, and we got into a fight over it. It's what was funny to them was serious to me. And like I said, I don't think they grasped what I was going through. And another trigger for me along in my journey when I was in a better place was just recognizing people with like a certain look in their eyes when they had like dilated eyes. And I just looked at them like I'm like, there's nothing there, that person. And I would just make stupid jokes to like other coworkers, like, oh my God, I hope they don't fire that guy. I can't go through what I went through again. Like this that guy's not all there. Like stupid, stupid things, I would say. I would use my dark sense of humor to cope with trauma, which is, like I said, that's me being stupid and I'm adding on to a stigma and being stupid about something that I'm very passionate about. So that's me contradicting myself by making a joke, but it's also me being human and joking about my trauma. So, like I said, I'm a human being, I'm learning. And, I think like I said, I think with talking about this, it made me be like, okay, now I want to talk about sense of humor and mental health for the next episode, but we'll get into that next episode. But let me continue on with story time. Also, um, I feel like I've witnessed other people with trauma triggers. I remember I used to work with a girl who she would have a hard time driving in specific weather, and I just remember they would all get annoyed about it because she would call out if it was snowing or raining, and at the time, I would, like, whatever, I would go along with it, and then as I studied psychology more, I had more of an understanding of what she was going through, and I would quickly, like, come to her defense after that and be like, "Hey, like, it's a trigger for her, it's very real to her, like, just have more grace with her." And, as me now, besides studying psychology, as me being somebody living with PTSD, I know it's very real. And not even human, just humans. Like dogs have triggers too. I remember when I was a kid, there was a dog my aunt had that he would be from a junkyard. So obviously, maybe I don't know, he was abused or not, but I think that was a trigger for him. He would like go crazy. Like men. Like I said, it's not just for humans. Like it's very much for like animals too. Like rescue pets, 100% they went through things. Humans go through things. Like if anybody with a human or an animal, a human or an animal, what am I saying? A human or yeah, okay. What am I talking about? A human or an animal. We all have brains. We all have different they function differently, but they all can be traumatized in the way it causes specific behavior, you know what I mean? And it's a very it's a sad thing, but I feel like that trauma shapes either animal or it shapes a human and gives them the personalities. Like I always say, like rescue pets have the best personalities. All animals have the best personalities, but rescue pets specifically, I hold dear to my heart. Well, my dogs are from North Shore and they're rescued. They've been through things and they're just, you love them even more because of, their anxiety or, because they don't give you that space you need. They follow you to the bathroom and you know, it's their separation anxiety, like, this little things like that that you're like, "Okay." They been through things, I've been through things. We could all turn this into like a well-rounded relationship, and it is what it is. We all have brains that function, and they've been traumatized. So, you know, um we've all been through this rat race of life that things have fallen onto our laps that we have to be the ones to take responsibility for the trauma that we endured and healing from it. And as unfair as it is, like, I don't think that I asked for the situation to happen where I was highly traumatized and leaving my job. I think I would have still been there if none of that happened, and it just fell onto my lap. It happened. I'm in a different space now, and it was my responsibility to heal from it. And it's just a unfair, sad fact of life. It's sad. And another trigger for me I'll talk about, something maniacal happened on Mother's Day. My mother went away Mother's Day weekend, and yes, she is a terrible texter. We all know this, and we love her. Um, it She wasn't answering as much, but she was busy. She had my nieces, they were with my brother-in-law's family, they were at a cheer competition, they were enjoying themselves. She texted here and there, but of course, me having anxiety, being an overthinker, and coming from a place where, like, we didn't get along at one point, I immediately went to like, she hates me, she'll never love me. I was sitting in my room listening to Kelly Clarkson's Because of You, crying, like, oh my God. And then she comes home and we're fine. Like, now I call her my live-in bestie. Like I was just being dramatic. Your anxiety tends to it brings you out a familiar feeling in you of what happened in the past, but it also can lead you to like your brain will play tricks on you in a sense where, like, you'll lie to yourself and be like, "Oh, they hate me, I'm being ignored, they don't like me, blah, blah, blah." Like, the brain is a very complex thing. Of course, I overthought something, but it is, I was being triggered by a familiar feeling. I didn't like it. I didn't like, the barely answering me. I didn't like, I was like, "What? Why is she doing that?" But like I said, I've witnessed people go through that. People go through that with not even just my mom, like, people go through that with friends, like, if they don't answer them, they're like, "Oh my god, blah, blah, blah." People go through that with dating if they're not answering them. It's like, and then they go on to the next guy, and then this next guy is not talking to them as much, and they're like, "What the heck?" And you think like that, like, is like, is it me? Am I the problem? The guy before this didn't talk to me, or this guy before this didn't talk to me like this. He was a slow texter and then he ghosted me. It's like, it's not you. It's that person. Don't ever think it's you. And don't ever think because this happened with the person before that and this, like I said, it's your overthinking and things like that. It's your anxiety coming into play. Personally, me, I used to be the type of person where I would call people out for their slow texting, but now I've gone to a point where, like, I realize people get busy, things happen, people have things going on, so I don't hold people as much accountable for their slow texting, unless it's a different situation where, like, the person doesn't answer you back till like 2 days later and, like, the only thing they have going on is, like, I'm like, "Okay, well, I tried to have this conversation 2 days ago. What the heck is going on?" Like, there's different circumstances, but, like, try to come from a place of, like, if someone's slow texting with you, if it's, your mom, your dad, your family, someone you're dating, just have a little patience and proceed with caution if it is someone you're dating. If they're a slow texter and that's not what you want, that's not what you want. But like I said, my anxiety just through experience, just with my mom, my relationship with my mom that caused me to be triggered, or just with people, like I just automatically go back to that place where like someone doesn't answer, oh my God, this is happening, that's happening. Like people, I feel like people have that when they're in like a relationship because of a past experience with like someone cheating on them. And they're in a place where like, I'm not saying me, I'm saying like in general, people come from a place of like experience with those things and they have trust issues and things like that. And they're like, "Oh my god, he's not answering me," or "He went to bed early, must mean he's cheating," or blah, blah, blah. It could be, but also it could also be just your anxiety getting the best of you, and like I said, the brain is a very complex thing. It causes you to have severe anxieties due to past experiences, and it sucks. It really does, because it could be a cause for a lot of self-sabotage. It could cause for you to react in a way where you just trigger a fight with somebody, and that's the end of it. Like, it's just like I said, therapy, a lot of therapy, and just learning coping mechanisms, like, it's just therapy goes a long way. Like, I don't know. I don't think I could be the person I am today if I didn't have some form of mental health care, because I've been through some shit. I really have. I've been through a lot. And what I'm so curious. Who would I be today if I never healed from the things that I went through and I just let all that I went through define me and allow me to just become this horrible person and allow it to dictate how I treated people. I'm just so like, I would hope that, you know, oh my God, I just want to hug my old self. Like, I just want to hug you, girl. You came a long way. Through all the things you've been through, all the trauma you've been through, you have come a long way, girl. But okay, I could go on and on. Um, let's get on to the more factual part of it. Let's talk about the types of triggers. Now, these are my notes. I put these notes on here, I copy them. I'll do story time, I'll put notes, like factual notes. So I'll talk about my stories so it can be more relatable, so I can relate to the topic, so people can relate to me, and it gives more of a grasp of it. I try to be thorough with these. And then I give notes from like online sources, and I just give facts so it becomes more, people can grasp it a little bit more, especially people who are going through specific, like the topic that I'm talking about. I give facts so like you can understand more. Like, listen, I'm just somebody who lives with experience, with a little bit of an education, a little bit of knowledge that is trying to help. And, you know, this is why I do what I do. But okay, let's dive into it. Oh my God, I'm yapping today. Now, the types of trauma triggers. External triggers, I think I talked about this previously, but let's dive into it more. Sensory reminders of the traumatic events such as sounds, smells, sights, or places. Examples: hearing a certain song, smelling a specific perfume, seeing a particular place, or feeling a certain touch. These are internal sensations or feelings that can be associated with the trauma. These are internal triggers: feeling anxious, angry, or overwhelmed, experiencing flashbacks or intrusive thoughts, or having physical symptoms like a racing heart or sweating. For a person who experienced a car accident, being in a car, hearing loud noises, or even the smell of burning tires could be triggers. For victims of assault, seeing a person who looks like their attacker, smelling alcohol, or being touched on the back could be triggers. And for military veterans, loud noises, certain smells, or even the sight of uniforms could be triggers. 100%. And this is why I always advocate for veterans and just people with mental disabilities who are triggered by like fireworks during the 4th of July. They are beautiful in theory, but as somebody who is a mental health advocate, I think fireworks should be, there's a time and a place for them. Yes, it's about to be Memorial Day coming up. It's about to be the 4th of July in a few months. But just be more mindful of the people around you, and then if you live in a neighborhood, because there are veterans out there who have been through combat who are triggered by loud noises and bangs. There are people with autism, there are people with disabilities, there are dogs who, like specifically, I had a dog, her name was Bella. She was a rescue, she was a turn in, and she was obviously out during a storm or whatever. Stormy weather would just always trigger her to shake and have anxiety. And I just know fireworks would trigger her. And, my mom would always get pissed because we would have to sit there and comfort my dog. She was shaking, and the neighbor up the block didn't know that, of course, but, like, I just think if we were all just more mindful of the people and the animals around us, it would be a better place. Realistically, it's not gonna happen. People don't care. A lot of people just don't care about the next person. But I'm trying to advocate and say, like, Memorial Day is coming up, 4th of July is coming up. Be more mindful of the people with disabilities that are triggered by fireworks. So, like I said, 100% military veterans come into play with triggers when it comes to loud noises. And let's talk about the responses to trauma. The 7F responses to trauma are the fight, flight, freeze, fawn, flood, flop, or flock. They are the body's automatic reactions to perceived threats or danger, offering a range of coping mechanisms. While fight, flight, and freeze are more well known, the other four, fawn, flood, flop, and flock, they offer a more nuanced understanding to trauma responses. Now let's elaborate on the 7 Fs. Fight, acting aggressively or confrontationally to overcome a perceived threat. Flight, leaving a situation to escape the danger. Freeze, becoming immobile, silent, is often described as playing dead. Fawn, trying to appease or placate the perceived threat by being overly agreeable or submissive. Flood, experiencing intense emotions and feeling overwhelmed by the traumatic experience. Flop, experiencing a loss of physical control, often involving a muscle relaxation or weakness. And flock, seeking companionship and support from others, often feeling a sense of belonging, safety in the presence of trusted individuals. 100% you can do that in group therapy. They have group therapy for like, trauma survivors. Like it's just totally 100% that is a good thing, finding other individuals so you don't feel alone. So how are you going to recognize these triggers? Now, this is coping with the trauma triggers. Identify and acknowledge your triggers. Understanding what triggers you is the first step in managing them. Practice relaxation techniques, deep breathing, meditation, mindfulness. It can help your nervous system. I am a big advocate for yoga. Once I want to get back into it eventually. I used to do it back in the day when I worked at the mall. Lululemon would give like free classes. I would do it before my shift and it would keep me zen for like 6 hours. Seek support. Talk to a therapist, counselor, a trusted friend or family member. I can't even talk. Family member. Learn coping strategies. There are many tools and techniques to help you manage the trauma. Now, pay attention to your body and emotions. Are you experiencing intense or physical emotion reactions like fear, anger, or sadness? Consider your past experiences. What situations, sights, sounds, or smells have previously been associated with the trauma? And keep a journal. Note down any situations or things that trigger a strong reaction. Now, everyone's trauma is specific to them. Things they've been through can cause different triggers. There's like a plethora of triggers in this world. It's very individual based. It's very, like I said, triggers are unique. What triggers one person may not trigger another, so it is important to identify your own individual triggers. Triggers can be subtle. Sometimes triggers can be difficult to identify, but it's still important to pay attention to your reactions. Seeking help is a sign of strength. If you are experiencing trauma triggers, remember that it's okay to ask for help. Now, here's how you can combat your triggers to trauma. Identify your triggers, pay attention to things that are triggering you, keep a journal of things that set off and then your reactions, create a safety plan, develop a plan to help you manage triggers such as deep breathing, go to a safe space, or contacting a trusted person. Limit exposure. If possible, avoid situations or media that you know are triggers. Use grounding techniques. When you feel triggered, use grounding techniques like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method to bring yourself back to the present moment. Prioritize self-care, practice mindfulness, engage in mindfulness practices like meditation or deep breathing to help you stay present, get enough sleep, ensure that you are getting adequate rest as sleep deprivation can worsen anxiety and trauma symptoms. this is gonna be funny coming from me, the one who just literally spent her night alone making crunch wraps, but this is what my notes say, so I'm gonna pass it along to somebody who will consider this. I should consider this at this point. I will. Uh, Eating a healthy diet. Nourish your body with nutritious food to support your emotional and mental well-being, and engage in physical activity. I started taking walks, like going to my niece's house. I walk there now. I'll, use that as my time to listen to music and just get out. Like, oh my God, yesterday I had the best time with them, but I walked to their house, listened to music. It was a nice walk. It was a nice day. So that is definitely something that's been helping me. Um, Definitely regular exercise can help release tension and improve mood. A lot of people use that as, part of their healing journey. I definitely want to start implementing that now that it is nicer out, and seek professional help. Um, Find a therapist. Trauma therapy can provide you with the tools and support you need to process through trauma and manage your triggers, and consider medication. In some cases, medication may be prescribed. I cannot talk today. Prescribed to help manage symptoms of anxiety or PTSD. Attend support groups. Like that. That's 100%. I think feeling connected to other people who have been through similar things is 100%. It is such a powerful thing. Connecting with others who have experienced trauma can provide a sense of community and understanding, and develop coping strategies. Um, Practice relaxation, yoga, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation can help calm your nervous system. Engage in creative expression. Find healthy ways to express your emotions through art, music, writing, or other creative outlets. I found this as one of my creative outlets. I do paint by numbers, I cook, I bake, I got into crafting. Like that was a huge thing during my healing journey. I still do it. I will get into it more when, I can, but I feel like creative outlets are definitely a good thing. Build a strong support system. Connect with trusted friends and family members for emotional support, and validate your experience. Acknowledge your feelings. It's important to recognize and validate your emotions, even if they seem overwhelming. Be patient with yourself. Healing from trauma takes time and effort. Be kind to yourself and celebrate your progress. I 100% think it is great to look at myself from 2 years ago to now and seeing how much progress I have made. I was able to go to my niece's cheer expo and just recognize that, wow, like, I'm calm. I'm not as vigilant as I used to be. Like, that is such a great thing. And remember that you are not alone. Many people experience trauma, and seeking help is a sign of strength. And I just, I I do topics that I can do story time with, topics personal to me that I can share my story so people know that they're not alone. As time progresses, I will bring more people in, like interview people, talk about their experiences. But for now, it's just me. And I would love to touch upon topics where even though I haven't been through it, other people have, and it'll help others. This is done strictly to help people. And with that being said, if you or anyone you love is struggling or in need of help, text home to 741-741, the crisis text line, for free confidential conversation with a trained counselor at any time of day, or text or call 988, or use the chat function at the 988 lifeline.org. As far as the upcoming episodes, I think for 23, I want to talk about humor and mental health. So, just everyone stay well. Be kind to yourselves. I will be back for episode 23. Stay well. Bye bye, everyone.